Hello travelers, Boardman21 here and welcome. It has been almost 3 months since I've done a video and I apologize. I disappeared completely out of the blue, so I definitely owe an apology to all my viewers for just kind of ghosting you guys. I really didn't mean to do that. It's just I had a job opportunity that I had been searching for that came up, and then that allowed me to do exactly what I wanted, and I will discuss that in more detail in the second half of the video. But in the first half of the video, let's go ahead and get into the multiplayer update that they released almost a month ago that I missed out on because I was out of state, and let's just kind of discuss what this means. You've probably already seen it, probably already read through it, but I'm going to go ahead and give you my take on it. Alright, so diving into this post, we can see it was posted 29 days ago by 𝐁𝐮, and you can see in the large logo they got here, development update, closed multiplayer testing begins, which means a lot of the CT members were going to get to play multiplayer for the first time ever, which means that this would also be the first time ever that community members would actually get to play multiplayer. So anybody outside of the actual dev team being able to test multiplayer would be happening on the day that this was posted, which is pretty cool. So we go ahead and go in here. Welcome travelers to our May update for last Epoch. It's been a while since our last post, so oh boy do we have a lot to share with you today, and we're going to be sharing our progress on several big initiatives we're working on, including multiplayer, visual and combat polish, performance. And we're also excited to announce that today marks the first day that our closed community testing for multiplayer in last Epoch happens. So for the development focus, you can see that in March they released patch 8.5, Depths of Eder. It was a rather small patch. It had a couple new dungeons. You guys know all of this. You've probably already played it. So in addition to all of that new content that they introduced in 8.5, they feel like the end game goals for 1.0 are in a great space. What this means is they feel like there's quite a bit of content in the game to keep you busy for 1.0, and they're going to direct their focus into a new direction, and that direction being multiplayer for one, and then also they're going to be drawing their attention to visual and combat polish and performance improvements. And then, like I said, of course, everyone's favorite topic, multiplayer, which will be one of their main focuses going forward from this point until it is released, and then I'm sure it'll still be a focus afterwards. Combat feel and performance have been two of the most talked about feedback topics from our community for some time now, and while we felt that delivering our core content was something we needed to do first, we are now incredibly excited to be in a position to add the level of polish to these systems that last Epoch deserves. Many of you know the team's getting bigger, they're getting more experienced, and the quality of the game, the actual polish to the game, is going to be getting much better in the upcoming updates that we get. So in the development cadence, and this is big news right here because the normality of the game is that every 3 to 4 months we were getting a huge patch update. Well, when 8.5 dropped, they announced that 8.6 would be coming, and that's also one of the reasons why I went to find a job, is I knew it was going to be another small patch, and it was just going to be a while before the game really grew to be a big size. Multiplayer was going to be at least 6 months off from that point. Well, it looks like they may have dropped that, and now they're saying right here that we are going to be extending the normal 3 to 4 month cycle into a 6 month cycle, meaning the next big patch will not be coming until September-ish. And it also does not say whether that will actually be 8.6 or whether that will be 9.0 and have multiplayer. So I don't think we'll actually know until we're much closer. Assumably they're going to be working on multiplayer for that full 6 months, really trying to get it out for September, and then if they are just not able to do it, we'll be getting 8.6, and who knows what will come with that. We'll get a patch no matter what, I assume, in September-ish, but whether it'll be multiplayer or not is yet to be seen. Also, they did say in an interview that the multiplayer will be coming this year, so if it doesn't come in September, it's going to come in the next update, which at this point looks like it would be December-ish. Now keep in mind that this change is not for all future development cycles. We've only decided to take more time on the current one to progress more efficiently on a specifically large and branching task, which of course is multiplayer. And what that means is they have to go through a bunch of things in order to release a patch, testing, getting CT involved. You know, all the team members have to have their stuff done. They have to go through it. They have to have quality assurance for it, test things, and it takes up a lot of their time every time that a patch goes. And then right after the patch, you have hot fixes, things, you know, bugs, things they've got to squash right away. So extending the 6 month cycle that they're going to have here instead of the 3 to 4 month cycle is really going to allow them to just kind of take a break from that and just fully focus for 6 months on multiplayer, which means that hopefully we do get it in September. So for this month's multiplayer development update, we will have the production director, 𝐁𝐮𝐲 is going to bring us up to speed with the progress. Going forward, we're going to be combining these updates into a single frequent development updates. However, for this post, 𝐁𝐮𝐲 is still providing the update directly just about multiplayer and the progress that it has made. So a letter from 𝐁𝐮𝐲. The last month or two has been mostly heads down, focusing on a lot of less glamorous work I mentioned in February multiplayer update, but let me break it down with some updates of progress they've had in these areas. So updates from the last post, the remaining content. We have finished or nearly finished adding a ton of minor content to the game that needed to have multiplayer flipped to on. This is a lot of smaller content such as shrines, UI notifications such as level ups, disconnect logic, online portal behaviors, minion functionality, the transition across zones online now, monolith nearing completion, channeled abilities also nearing completion, and a lot more. So just a lot of little things. A lot of things in the game have to be converted. They work completely different online on a server and multiplayer than they do in single offline, and so they have been doing a ton of that, and now they just have a lot of little things they have to finish up, which means that we should be getting rather close. And just the fact that they're opening this to multiplayer testing for CT members also tells us that they must be getting pretty close with it. Then they go on to talk about a bunch of the diagnostics and fixing multiplayer bugs fast, how they're tracking things, how they're getting data, how they have like just a ton of data coming at them and it's organized so that they can do things extremely quickly. We're not going to dive into all of that. We have the multiplayer monolith. We knew that this was going to be an incredibly complex project, being able to have multiplayer with the monolith work in a way that would fit and best work for everybody. So one major decision that they've made is to change how the game loads for you. We wanted to make sure that traveling back and forth from echoes in the monolith reward chamber was a quick and seamless experience, so we totally changed how we do loading in last Epoch. Previously, at any part of the game, we would just unload old zones and load new ones as you played. Your experience is more complicated in the monolith. You are moving between echoes, the reward chamber, and the hub zone constantly. In a group, this would have meant a lot of loading of new servers for players. Not only is that expensive for us, but it's very slow and annoying for the player experience. To solve all of this, our outstanding development team has re-engineered our game to support additive loading. This means that we can do all kinds of things now and in the future. This means when you enter a monolith hub, the reward zone will also be loaded. Neither of these will unload. When you enter a new echo, it loads it. When you finish an echo and enter the hub or reward zone, it unloads, and you can seamlessly travel between your echo, monolith hub, and the reward zone. Nice. And all of this is now on a single server for a full group. Very nice. So it sounds like the performance is coming up. It's going to be seamless, it's going to be quick, it's going to be painless, and it should be good. As you can imagine, that is not only much faster for when you get to play the Monolith of Fate online, but it's also much more cost effective for us in terms of maintaining servers. Also a good thing. This next part probably doesn't affect too many people as there's only a handful of people in the actual CT, but basically what they're looking for is they're going to let them play multiplayer. It looks like they want them to have fun, playing groups of 2 to 4 players, don't race, try to create party synergies, and report any major player experience issues that they have. I actually haven't heard anything about how it went. I assume at this point it's over. They probably only played for a few days or maybe a couple of weeks. Maybe they've done a few different sessions of it. I don't know if maybe they're in the, I think it's on Sunday that the devs play multiplayer together, or on one of the days they do. I don't know if they're a part of that, but it sounds like it might have went well. But again, I haven't heard anything and I haven't heard any major backlash from it, so I assume that it went seamless, and I'm assuming they've found a bunch of stuff and that they're still making progress on multiplayer. So let's talk about some of the things that they're going to be trying to fix here in the future to make feel better and more polished. Things that have been heated topics inside of the community, talked about a ton, and I'm just going to really kind of go through this. I don't want this video to be too long, but let's start with the improvements to the combat feel. One of the significant areas of feedback we get concerning core gameplay is combat feel. Sometimes it just doesn't feel like you're actually in the combat. You're just kind of there. This is a fairly complex topic and consists of a lot of things that can be hard to identify or call out, but it's certainly a case of the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. To improve the feeling of combat, we're focusing on 2 main parts: how it feels to hit an enemy and how it feels to kill an enemy. So on-hit effects. For the combat feel, when you hit an enemy, we're exploring options for enhancing the skill SFX and VFX. That can happen when hitting enemies such as blood splatter, dust, bones being shattered off, and hitting skeletons. One of the things is, like in Diablo, combat feels really good. In Lost Ark, it felt really good. They had one more category that they focus on a lot, and that's also that, like, you get hit by the enemies, you get knocked back, and it makes you feel a bit more immersed. I'm kind of wondering why they didn't take part of that into it, but perhaps the gameplay or combat feel in this game doesn't really have a whole lot of knockback on us. We do get stunned occasionally, which can be death for you, but I'm curious if they'll go in that direction at some point as well, so it feels like you're a little bit more immersed. Another thing they'll be working on is on-death effects. For the combat feel of killing enemies, we're experimenting with various ways to add custom death VFX for each damage type, which so far has been very successful. The goal here is to make the aspect of killing enemies feel more responsive to your skill and damage type selection. That's pretty cool. It's going to definitely make you feel a difference between characters. For ailments, another part of the combat feel we're working on is the clarity of ailments on enemies. For this, we're moving the ailment points to the inside of the monsters, as well as reworking the visuals for many of the ailments. And down here, you can see poison, very, very green. You can just see it. It's bubbly, toxic. It's got that animation that you can clearly identify. Slow is going to be the aura below you. And then for shock, you have that lighting around you. Shock, for me, has always been pretty evident in the game, but glad to see that there's still, it looks like it's going to be a little bit bigger of an aura around enemies. Still, they're making things very, very visual so that you can instantly tell what it is that you're doing. So for the skill VFX and SFX, while that also plays into combat feel, we're also revisiting some of the older skill VFXs to get these skills up to date and provide a more visually pleasing experience to use them. For those that follow our development streams, you may have already seen these, but we want to share 2 examples with our entire community and one additional one that's yet to be teased. And as you can see down here, you have several different things. We have hammer throw here, we have judgment here, and I mean, you can see that it's very visually better than judgment currently is in the game. And then here you have aura of decay, which is very, very visually different. You can also see that the poison is now on you, which makes it a lot clearer what's going on. So I think these look amazing, way better than our current skills for these 3 skills in game. So very, very excited to see where they go in the future with this. Alright, let's talk about some visual updates to some of the beloved companions that we know. So let's go look at the Sabertooth, the Primal Bear, and the Golem for the Necromancer. So the first items we'd like to show off for this update is coming from the Primal Sabertooth and the Primal Bear companions with their new concept art, as well as the 3D render for the Acolyte's Golem. So here for the Sabertooth, you can definitely see it looks much, much different than the current Sabertooth we have. For one, it's actually got some gear on it. You can see it's got some trinkets and some possible bones, it looks like, that it has on it, which is pretty cool. It's got a collar. It doesn't, I guess, so much have armor on it, but it definitely has more visual things on it that makes it more appealing, and it looks like there's multiple versions that's going to make it look a little bit different. I also really like what they did with the tail, giving it 2 tails instead of just the 1. Then for the bear, you can see the bear is definitely much heavily armored than it currently is. I really like that they're starting to add gear or trinkets or just kind of some clothing slash items to your companions. And then for the golem, I think this one is the biggest change. This golem looks way more badass than the current golems in the game. So I really, really like it. It's almost like it's leading towards the abomination, but again, it's just a, I'm assuming, poison type for the golem, and I really, really like it. So I really like the direction they're going visually for the game. And then looking forward, we may have hinted at it throughout this post here and there, but some big things are starting to hit full sprint here at 11th Hour Games. Today is the first day anyone outside of our team is accessing multiplayer. That's the CT multiplayer closed beta group that they have. We're also revisiting some of our earlier work and keeping it up with current standards to get everything ready for a goal once a Kickstarter dream. What this means is they're getting, as they get closer to release, they're starting to get everything on par with some of the newer content that we have that you can tell is so much better than the original content. You can see just how far the team has come in the years that it's been developing this game. After the first series of tests with our community testers, we will be posting another update talking about how these tests went, as well as looking for additional community testers for expanding the test. So make sure to hold on to your applications for now and keep an eye out for this post with information on how to apply if you are interested in joining that extended alpha testing. And I haven't seen that post yet. I don't think it's out yet. Maybe I just missed it, but I can't wait to see what the results for that testing are. Alright, that's going to be it for this post. Let's go ahead and jump into part 2 of this video, which is going to be talking about why I have not been giving you guys videos for the last few months. Alright, so now for part 2, I want to talk about why I ghosted you guys, why I haven't been here for the last 3 months, and it's because I found a job. So, you guys know that I quit my last job to give you guys full-time content creation back in November of last year, towards the end of it, basically right around Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, shortly after I did that, the girlfriend that I had ended up breaking up with me. We separated. I had to move out of the house. I ended up moving across the country with Quiet for Me. When that happened, unfortunately, I just felt like I was too far away from my daughter, so I ended up coming back to Oregon. And when I came back to Oregon, I had to get my own place, which meant I was going to need a lot more income, especially with how housing prices, renting prices are in the US right now, which are absolutely crazy. So I started putting feelers out for a job. I wasn't in a hurry to find one, but I was looking for one. Then patch 8.5 dropped, and it was a relatively small patch, and on patch day they also announced that 8.6 would be the next update. We now know that instead of that, we're doing a 6-month cycle with no patch, and in September getting the next patch, which could be 8.6 or could be 9.0. Either way, it meant we were going a very long time without getting multiplayer, another 6 months, which meant I really needed to find a job because there's no way we were going to have that much content creation on last Epoch. So I would put out the feelers and ended up finding a job, which was exactly what I was looking for. I had some very steep requirements, the main one being I needed to be able to take time off when I wanted, and as much time as I wanted, to be able to do the patches and the content for you, and not a whole lot of jobs do that. So what did I end up getting? I deliver Airstreams around the US. If you're wondering what that is, here's a video of what an Airstream is. It is a top-of-the-line camper. You attach it to the back of your vehicle. They come in a lot of different sizes, and basically I take them from the factory where they've been made and deliver them to different dealerships around the US. With that being said, I've ran into all sorts of weather. I have been all around the US with this job. I have traveled in almost all 48 of the contiguous states. I will have exceeded all of those by the time the end of summer rolls around. I've hit all sorts of weather. Here in this picture, you can see that I ended up running into a small blizzard. They ended up shutting down the interstate on me. I was stuck here for about 6 hours at the time till they bulldozed a clear path for us. And it's actually been quite a fun job. It's allowed me to travel through a lot of areas I had never been before. I get paid to do it, and then I also got to meet a lot of other content creators, as well as Judd, the director of Last Epoch, which was a lot of fun. Now, the nice thing about this, like I said, was this job not only allows me to travel, but I can take off time when I want and for as long as I want. So if I wanted to take all next month off, I could. Right now, I'm just trying to save as much money as possible and basically waiting for multiplayer to come back full time, or at least for 2 of the 3 months for every patch cycle to give you guys content. So don't worry, I'm not gone for good. I know I've ghosted you guys for a few months. However, I will be back as soon as multiplayer drops, and maybe even a little bit before that, to start pumping out content every day again for you guys. So again, the last thing that I want to leave you guys with is I am sorry for disappearing for a few months and just being totally quiet. I didn't mean to ghost you guys, but again, I will be back. I am still here. I still know that you guys are in my Discord channel. I know you're still putting comments. I know the videos are still being watched, and more of them will come. But again, probably not until we get closer to actual multiplayer launch, or at least till the next update. And as they release news, when I am not out of state, when I am back home, I will be trying to do more videos just to keep you guys updated and in the loop, and I'll try not to wait a whole month like I did for this multiplayer update between the time that news is dropped and I give it to you guys. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. Again, sorry that I've been gone. I am only temporary back right now. I hope to do one stream in the next few days just to get a stream out there and talk to you guys, answer questions, and just know that I'm still alive. And then again, once September hits, that next patch is getting close, news starts dropping for it, I'll be back for probably about a month of just giving you guys full content again. If multiplayer is in that patch, I'll probably be back for a few months just to really get back into the game. Hope you guys are all good and well, and as always, stay safe and have a good day.